Chalmers Hubert Goodlin was the second test pilot of the Bell X-1 supersonic rocket plane, and the first to operate the craft in powered flight. He was the pilot of the project's second plane, and nearly broke the sound barrier. Biography. Goodlin was born on January 2, 1923, in Greensburg, Pennsylvania. He began learning to fly at the age of 15, and joined the Royal Canadian Air Force in 1941 on his 18th birthday, inspired by the tremendous air battles over the English Channel in early World War II, but was unable to participate as part of the American military since the U.S. had not yet entered the war. He became the youngest commissioned officer in the RCAF and entered the European theatre in 1942. By December of that year, the U.S. Naval Air Force had requested that Goodlin transfer back to the States, where he underwent training to become a Navy test pilot. He was released from active duty and found employment with Bell Aircraft as a test pilot in December 1943. In 1946, at the first post-war national air races in Cleveland, he was the co-owner and test pilot of a Bell P-63 King Cobra. The Bell Aircraft Corporation built the X-1 in an attempt to break the sound barrier in the 1940s. Goodlin became one of the very first certified jet pilots in the United States, was the second pilot to fly the X-1. Goodlin's first unpowered flight was on October 11, 1946 at Muroc AFB, California. After a further 3 glide flights, Goodlin became the first pilot of the X-1 in powered flights on December 9, 1946 in the No. 2 aircraft. Goodlin made another 11 flights in the No. 2 aircraft before flying the newly modified No. 1 aircraft. The modifications to the No. 1 aircraft included new wings and a new horizontal stabilizer. Goodlin's first flight in the modified No. 1 aircraft was April 10, 1947. He flew the X-1 a total of 26 times, pushing it near the sound barrier. Goodlin joined the Caterpillar Club 2 times after bailing out of aircraft during test flights. The X-1 program was taken over by the United States Air Force after Goodlin demanded $150,000 and additionally demanded hazard pay for every minute spent over 0.85 Mach. The Bell program was also needlessly conservative, increasing speed by only 0.02 Mach per flight. Subsequently, the sound barrier was broken by Captain Chuck Yeager in 1947. Goodlin later denied ever making the demand for extra pay. Goodlin stated that he had made a deal with Bob Stanley of Bell to make the first supersonic flight before turning the plane over to the United States Air Force, but they wanted a man in uniform to make the flight for the sake of better publicity. In 1948, Goodlin served as a MACL pilot in the newly formed Israeli Air Force, and fought in the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. During the war, while flying an IAF Supermarine Spitfire LF-MKIXE fighter, he was involved in the shooting down of 3 British Spitfire Mk-18 reconnaissance fighters. Goodlin later became the chief test pilot for the IAF. Later, when hostilities ceased, he flew Douglas DC-4s for Near East air transport on humanitarian missions, carrying thousands of Jewish refugees to Israel from Aden, Arabia and Germany. He continued his career in aviation, owning Seychelles Kilimanjaro Air Transport, and other companies supplying parts and aircraft to various airlines and other concerns. He led joint ventures with an ex-Le Manson F1 driver, the decorated Battle of Britain veteran Wing Commander Roger Dennis Poor, to whom Goodlin was known as Chal, in internationally leasing, chartering used aircraft and creating the first first Dutch air charter company at Schiphol Airport, Amsterdam, Holland. In the mid-1960s, what he considered the pinnacle of his career, however, was becoming involved with and ultimately chairman and CEO of the Burnelly Company. Goodlin was a proponent of lifting fuselage aircraft designs, whose proponents argue create far safer airliners. Amongst his other numerous achievements, Goodlin was a nominee for the National Aviation Hall of Fame, was inducted into the Florida Aviation Hall of Fame, the American Rocket Society, received a commendation from the American Red Cross for humanitarian efforts in Nigerian relief operations, and Biafra, elected into the Niagara Frontier Aviation Hall of Fame, Society for Experimental Test Pilots, and received the Wright Brothers Memorial Award from the Greater Miami Aviation Association. He enjoyed memberships in the Royal Aero Club, the Quiet Birdman, the Caterpillar Club, the Ox 5 Club, the Greater Miami Aviation Association as a senior member, and the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics. Goodlin died on October 20, 2005 in Palm Beach, Florida, having never flown supersonic. He made this admission when interviewed for the X-1 profile in the Discovery Channel's 1991 series, The X-Planes. Goodlin stated he considered flying on the Concorde supersonic passenger jet to attain his Mach 1 Plus status, but the prohibitive price kept him from doing so. In popular culture, Goodlin was portrayed by William Russ in the 1983 film version of The Right Stuff.